Change. We all hate it. We've all experienced those feelings that come along with change, whether it be visiting a new country for the first time, moving out, or doing absolutely anything outside of your own comfort zone. But sometimes change is just for the best.
I can feel the bass. From the ceiling to the basement, I don't feel a day.
But whatever was gonna come after this generational run was gonna meet harsh expectations.
I'm feeling a strong 4 to a light 5 on this album.
And here we are, 5 years later, and the reception to this album is still polarising. But I'm here to tell you one thing. Testing by A$AP Rocky is a misunderstood masterpiece. You see, Rocky burst onto the scene with Live Love A$AP with influence that still stands to this day. Him and Clams Casino would perfect this cloud rap wave, and the mixtape is showered with praise year upon year. Long Live A$AP would see Rocky go down a more traditional hip hop route, with also some experimenting in there like on Wild for the Night. And At Long Last A$AP is the culmination of both, nothing short of a masterpiece. So if At Long Last A$AP would be the perfection of the sound Rocky was chasing for like 5 years, where else would he have to go? Well, he had to take time away, and the result is Testing. And it lives up to its name, an experimentation of all these new sounds. Now, when I say it's misunderstood, this is what I mean. In the words of the trustworthy Pitchfork, Testing is in many ways Rocky's attempt to remake Frank Ocean's 2016 album, Blonde. Like, no. I think what makes this album so polarising is the so-called lack of energy from A$AP Rocky. On his previous albums, he always had tracks like Lord Pretty Flacko Jody, Goldie, Peso, Problems. You know those tracks people label as bangers. Testing still has these moments, but not in abundance like his previous albums do. This album is the most stripped back we've seen A$AP Rocky. Testing is him in his rawest form.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
And I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I believe this album is perfect, because that just isn't true. Its flaws are there for literally everyone to see. But for me, innovation and transformation should always be applauded when done correctly. Rocky could have easily sat on what had already worked in the past and just capitalised on it again, make a bunch of money, good critical acclaim, and just continue on his career path. But that's just boring, isn't it? And like I said, 5 years later, people are still debating whether this album is great or not. And to be honest, that is just a sign of a great album, sparking conversations half a decade later. And it all begins with the intro, Distorted Records, which is just this bass heavy track that is so industrial, and it just throws you off from the first minute of Testing. A$AP Forever is once again heavy on bass, but with a more symphonic instrumental.
They talking down on my name. Don't let them run off with the name. Man, I just run with the game.
Tony Tone sounds like something straight off Long Live A$AP, and Fuck Sleep is hypnotic as shit with Twig's vocals laced throughout.
My closet, new bags like I went shopping. New bags on new bags.
All this, then we get thrown into the absolute banger, Praise the Lord.
Text a message, I don't know the number. Flexing on these niggas, every bone and muscle.
So what is my point? Well, I'm just saying Testing follows no linear structure. Now, to some, that is their whole criticism of the album, but for me, and many others, I'm sure it's part of the charm. Even if we dive a bit deeper into the album, compare a track like Guns and Butter and Kids Turned Out Fine. Completely different. How about Buckshot?
I ain't scared. Real niggas put the clip in and let it roll.
And Purity.
I gotta find peace of mind.
Once again, completely different sounds. I mean, Hip Hop DX said this: there is no new movement birthed. It simply, as the title states, a series of harmonic evaluations meant to gauge audience reaction. Instead of creating a new wave, A$AP Rocky's drowned himself in his own ambitions and has lost his identity along the way. And once again, I think everyone just missed the whole point of this album. This wasn't meant to create a wave. This was Rocky pushing himself, seeing how fans would react to the new sounds, and choosing from there which sounds he would follow on with. And Rocky has always been the one to set trends. It's normally people who follow him, but I don't think that was the intention here. And Rocky didn't completely abandon his old sound. Testing is still incredibly psychedelic at times. But if you heard this album for the first time not knowing who A$AP Rocky was, you wouldn't believe it came from an extremely established artist. It follows no typical mainstream formula. None of these tracks were made to be hits, apart from maybe Praise the Lord, which has that highly addictive flute riff.
Text a message, I don't know the number. Flexing on these niggas, every bone and muscle.
But the rest of the album is very foggy, a bit clouded, more mixtape like, which is probably off-putting for the casual listener, and why a lot of people don't return to this album often. Now, going on a tangent, can we talk about 100 for a second? Because wow, that actually might be the most slept on A$AP Rocky track to date, especially with the addition of Blood Orange. I think some people often use the word misunderstood as an excuse for an album having flaws, as in, you just don't get it. But I think Testing is a rare case of an album actually being misunderstood, and in this case I think it's aged great. I think a lot of people who hated it at the time would appreciate it a lot more 5 years removed. Even songs that I wasn't huge on at the time, like OG Beeper and Buckshots as mentioned previously, sound much better now, whether that is due to a lot of mainstream hip hop artists not producing fresh ideas nowadays, so any sort of different sound is refreshing, I don't know. And once again, I think comparison is the killer of enjoyment here. This album gets compared to his first 3 tapes, and I think that's unfair. Those 3 tapes were a trilogy building off one another until finalising a sound with At Long Last A$AP. Testing is its own identity, and I think we should appreciate it for what it is, a step outside the box for a mainstream rap artist. To be honest, I haven't been overly impressed by the singles that have followed Testing, but I'm still very excited for his album that should be dropping this year. If he delivers, we're looking at an incredible 5-year run, and I'm sure he'll deliver another great experience. He always does. It'll be interesting whether he builds off the sound found off Testing, or whether he'll go back to his old sound, or whether he will continue to innovate. And just like Testing, this video followed no structure at all. It was more like a rant. Anyway, let me know what you think Testing, how it's held up. Let me know in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe and leave a like if you did enjoy. Oh yeah, I also created a TikTok where I'm going to be posting a bunch of stuff, so any follow over there would be much appreciated. Thank you.